Hello my magical light being, and welcome to this video today. My name is Shalita. Welcome to my channel. My channel is all about magical consciousness, and today I wanted to share a story in regards to psychic abilities because I've been receiving questions about this, like how has my psychic journey been, and like how I've been navigating my psychic abilities and what that journey has been like for me. And I was like, I believe I've talked about this before, but not really like an actual video to do this. It was really funny because I was in the bathroom and I was like, wait a minute, I have thought about this before. And then I realized that I had like, maybe it has been a year ago, where I had this dream where I wanted to talk about this topic that I'm talking about today, but that for some reason I needed to wait. And then that morning I woke up and I was like, let me do that. And then I realized that I had to wait. And I had totally forgot about it. And now it's like a year later, a few years later, it's happening in this room where I did vision myself to be. But at that time I was not here. So yeah, you know, maybe you've had that before too, where you had a dream and you know that in that exact moment, literally, like even if it's a year later, you know this dream is about to actually happen in real life. It is beautiful. It's such a beautiful thing. Yeah, so today is just going to be a little story time. Allow yourself to sit somewhere comfortable, grab a drink, whatever you need to just allow yourself to listen, or if you want to watch the video. Like, I know a lot of people that love listening to podcasts and stuff like that. For me, like, I'm not really a listener. I'm more of a visual person, even though I love listening to stories and I love watching YouTube videos where, you know, they're talking, but I love to see the visual. That's why I create videos like this. But yeah, if you would just like to listen, you can as well choose that. And yeah, besides all of that, I don't think there's anything else I need to say in regards to that. Like, no, not really. So let's get into it. So one thing I immediately want to get into, a misconception people have about if you are intuitive or psychic, is that you receive positive energies, that you receive uplifting messages, and you feel uplifting positive vibes, that you receive messages from the angels and spirit guides and stuff like that. Well, for me, actually, my journey has been totally different in that regards. Maybe some people do have that, but I would say if your psychic senses, or your third eye, however you want to say it, opens, you're now being more aware. Like, you're more aware of all the energies, all the frequencies that exist. That's not just the positive, considered positive frequencies, that is as well the negative frequencies, aka the more denser frequencies and emotions that exist within our reality. For me, as a kid, I realized this not that long ago, that as a kid I actually was pretty psychic already, that I had certain abilities that I just didn't understand, I didn't know about, and I thought sometimes I was just crazy because at night I sometimes heard things or saw things that weren't there. I felt things that I couldn't see, all these type of things when I was younger. And you know, I never took a moment with myself to be like, oh, that's what that is. Like, no, as a child I was just doing my thing and I thought I was crazy sometimes. But so looking back now, that I'm like, hey, whoa, when I was younger I was actually already experiencing my psychic abilities that I'm experiencing right now. While through high school, like, my intuitive side was totally dimmed, like by programming and societal, like the division, you know, like separation was consuming me. So yeah, there was not really anything, like I was basically really putting away my sensitivity, and I had really hardened myself in high school to not, yeah, I was just really hard. I was just cold. I was a rock in my eyes, what led to depression eventually. But before that, like before the age of 12, I would say until the age of 12, I still had certain abilities going on. But after that, I just totally lost interest side. I didn't even remember at that time that I had heightened like sensitivity, I most of the time just wanted it to be gone. I didn't want to be sensitive. I didn't want to feel anything. I just wanted to be like a psychopath or something like that. It was really like, maybe you resonate with that for me in high school, I was so fascinated by psychopaths, and then at a certain point I thought I was one because you can become one. But as a highly sensitive person deep down, you can never become a psychopath, obviously, but I did have fascination for that type of character. But before I was 12, what I was saying, let me continue the story. I had heightened abilities because I can remember looking back that I had experiences that were not like normal, and I could not put my finger on them, and there were moments where I was scared as a child for the things that I was experiencing, and I just like, I didn't have a second thought. As a child, I was just a child. I was just doing my thing. No, like, second awareness of like, oh, this is what's happening. So, yeah, the things that I experienced back then were like hearing things that were not actually physically there, or like physically speaking to me. It was feeling things that were not in a room, but I could feel them. Seeing things, visions, predicting the future. That happened 3 times that I actually predicted the future. The last time I did was when I was 12, and you need to know that I didn't predict the future with intention. It was not like, let me predict the future. I just literally got like a zoop, like a vision, a whole experience, like I would be taken into like a moment in time, and then I would come out and be like, what was that? And then I would write it down. I remember when I was 12, I actually wrote it down, what I received, and then a year later it happened, in full detail too. What is really cool, but I have no clue how to use my future predicting abilities at all. I've predicted many things actually, and I was in high school someone that could see through things, so I did help my friends with other people, that they would ask about other people. What do you think about that person? Like, how is this going to happen for us? Like, you know, and I would say, this probably will happen like this, and then that happened. Well, when I had my spiritual awakening in 2018, my first one, that was when my psychic abilities were like opened. Like, I would say my third eye just popped open. The first thing that I actually became aware of were negative entities, and were negative energies and shadow beings and all that type of stuff. That were things that I became aware of first. Seeing what type of entities were attached to my presence since I was depressed, and they were feeding onto that, and they were feeding the depression. They were wanting me to do things, negative things. And when I had my spiritual awakening, I heard the separate voices. I heard the voices of these entities. I heard the voice of my ego. I heard the voice of my soul, of my heart. And I heard the voices of higher beings trying to connect with me at that very dark time, to tell me that this was not something that I had to do, these negative things. And yeah, that was the time where I became aware, and that was like my first awakening to my psychic abilities. And from that moment on, I had really interesting experiences, like scary ones. The first year was mostly like, that year I could remember the things that I experienced as a child, where I would lay in the bed at night and would hear the voices or animal sounds even, and then I would have no clue where they were coming from, and then I would just want it to stop. And so I had that once again in 2019, where I would go to bed, and then the moment I would go to bed, or even in the middle of the night, I would wake up because a voice was talking to me in a different language that I could not figure out, and it was trying to talk to me. And I would get so afraid because there was no one there in the room with me, but someone was talking to me through my clairaudience. So, and the same was with my clairvoyance as well, seeing these shadow beings at night and stuff like that. It was not it. So at that time, I've always had a connection with the angels since I was younger. always, when I went to church, I was more fascinated in angels than I was in Jesus or God, whatever. So I had a strong connection with the angelic realm, and that bond started to grow again when I had my spiritual awakening, because that was the only thing I could think of to ask for support from the angels to help me with releasing these energies, releasing these beings from my reality, from my environment, as well to set boundaries, to ask the angels to help me set boundaries with these spirits that were trying to talk to me at night that I was not looking to have connections with, or did not have the ability at that time to be able to, whatever the spirit wanted from me, that I could not give them that because I didn't know what they wanted nor what to do. So at that time I set boundaries through working with the angels every night, every morning, every afternoon. Like it was a very strong time at that time to connect with the angels, and through that I learned, and these boundaries worked. Setting these boundaries to ask my angels and spirit guides to no longer give access to any other being than the angelic realm to my presence, to my environment. And that definitely changed everything for me, because after that I did not have no encounters anymore with any negative energies, and I started to notice as well that my energy started to rise, that I started to have my frequencies starting to elevate, since these beings were being released. And I did rituals to release any negative energy from my reality, from my body, from, you know, like purging emotions, purging all these dense emotions that I had been holding on to, pain that these energies were feeding onto and wanted to take me down, bring me down. And that's very important to know if you're watching, that if you're going through, I watched this, I actually want to see if I can, let me see. So I made a recording of this card reading I was watching the other day, and this one was talking about when you were having, like, when you're dealing with spiritual attacks, like how you can move through that and what you can do to do that, and what are the symptoms when you're actually being influenced by energies that are trying to bring you down into a negative spiral, that are feeding onto your negativity as well. And I have seen this, actually, I have experienced this myself, but I as well experienced this over the last years with the people that I was in contact with, that they were telling me things, and looking back now, knowing what the lady said, we're actually having experiences of being spiritually attacked. So I was like, crazy. Definitely, because the people I am in contact with are very powerful people. They are as well light workers, starseeds, and these beings, these people, are so needed on this earth to uplift humanity. And who does not want humanity to be uplifted? Negative forces. So, you know, me making this video today, there probably was a negative force that was trying to tell me to not make this video today because of whatever reason, but I did it anyway because, you know, I'm very anchored in my light at this time. I'm very anchored in the last years. We have anchored in, and I have moments too that I kind of feel wobbly, definitely coming close to my period. What is this week? So yeah, I'm proud of myself. But where was I with the story? So yeah, in the year of 2019, when I learned about the fact that I could set boundaries with these energies, that's when everything changed. But before that, I had actually my first encounters with the spirit realm were negative energies, darker forces, I would say, which are very weak. Just, I want you to know that these forces seem very powerful because they feed on negativity that we might choose to consume. But at the end of the day, they can't survive without you. So, like, that's the whole point. They need you. And the moment you no longer need them, the negativity, that's when they have no power over you anymore. So, important to know that. Okay. So yeah, different experiences I had in 2018, 2019 were like, as well, how can I say, like, what is the word? The word is extraterrestrial. I guess so. It's such a difficult word. I had experience with that, being on vacation and knowing there were aliens around. And what else? So like becoming aware of different like dimensions and beings that exist in different dimensions. Since my psychic abilities are basically all of them, so I have clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, being intuitive, being an empath, being highly sensitive, like extremes. But yeah, so for me, all of them. And I believe that in 2019 I chose to ask the angels to once again set boundaries with these abilities to help me get used to them one by one instead of all at once. So I would ask for them to cut off my, for example, clairvoyant abilities so I can fully practice my clairaudience, or to really kind of work with these different psychic abilities one by one instead of having to deal with them all at once and being overwhelmed, because I was overwhelmed at first. And so when I started to work with the angels, I as well started to ask the angels to show themselves to me. And it was one night where I actually had that experience. As the angels choose a presence, they can, I would say, shapeshift to show themselves to you, which does not cause you to feel fear, or at least not really get like afraid, because the whole point is that they are here to help you choose love. So if they're causing you to become afraid, that's obviously not the point. Even though this fear can then be addressed and you can work through the fear as well, but it's not their intention to scare you. And so, you know, their natural form or their certain forms for some people are very terrifying if they knew what an angel looked like. But I asked them to show themselves in ways that I know I would not be afraid of, and then know that it was them. And how did I know it was the angels? Because of how I felt in their presence, what was really a lot of peace and calmness and really high frequency, like really just a frequency that is not even like a name for on this planet yet. So there were multiple ways they show themselves to me, but it was one night where I asked for their healing because I was feeling really weird and I was starting to get a little bit afraid by the negative energies that I started to sense, and I asked them to heal me through my sleep. So I went to bed, I used crystals that are connected to the angels, placed them next to my bed, and I woke up in the middle of the night after having a dream that I was being carried by a winged being, and I was flying through mountains and mountains and mountains, and like as I was flying through mountains I was starting to feel better and I was starting to feel more elevated. And then I woke up and then I saw this beautiful light in the room, like it was totally illuminating the whole room, and it was like glittering, it was like sparkling. It was like it seemed like a ball of light, but it was just so bright that I have no clue if it had any other form. Then it just looked like a giant, like when you use fireworks, you have, I don't know what those fireworks are called, like the sparkly ones that are on the stick. It was like a big one, but then in the sky. That's what I saw that night. And yeah, from that moment on, I've never really seen any other angelic being like that. I just asked for signs from the angels to show themselves within animals and other synchronicities and signs, because for me it's really not important to like have to see them. Like I believed in these energies before I even saw it, but then I still, you know, it was kind of like a confirmation by seeing these things that these things actually existed, and I could see them with my third eye, with my psychic abilities. And so if you are an intuitive or psychic yourself, or you would love to have your psychic abilities be opened or awakened, you can ask for that, and you can be very detailed with how you want that to happen, even though there's still always like this unexpected essence to it, since, you know, maybe you're meant to learn lessons that you might not consider that you want those in your reality, those type of experiences, but you needed those experiences. And for me, for example, like I would have never asked for the things that I experienced, but I definitely needed the experiences to be able to learn and to become who I am today and do what I do today, and to be as grounded as I am in these abilities. Because I have experienced as well people in my reality that start to become aware of these things or start to have their psychic abilities opened, and indeed they came first in contact with negative energies and then start to get really afraid and run and choose paths to protect themselves from these gifts that you can consider gifts, but for some people they could be considered a curse. So yeah. Yeah, so if you have any more questions for me, you can as well leave those in the comments down below so I can maybe go in more depth in one of these topics or psychic abilities or these type of experiences on my channel in a separate video. But today I just really wanted to kind of like share a little insight in how I see these things and maybe certain things I've experienced. Yeah, there are beautiful dimensions and beautiful beings that we might cannot see with our physical eyes, but they do exist and they are present with us, and some of them do have negative influence and some of them have positive influence or have an influence of empowerment and helping you choose love, and some of them want you to choose fear. So these negative energies want to survive, even though if you become aware you're on the path of enlightening yourself, you know that these energies are an illusion and are not meant to actually evolve. They will die and they will be transmuted back into love, back into God, even though they think they are not, or it's just that they cannot think. Like I said, these frequencies are just these frequencies. Like the frequency of guilt is a low frequency and it wants to continue surviving, and so it will feed off more guilt or certain emotions that can cause you to feel guilt, and now it is being expanded, but it cannot do that without you. While other frequencies, higher frequencies, or you could say God frequencies, these are frequencies that are us. They are the truth. They are the ever existing frequencies. They don't need a host. They don't need something to be able to survive or thrive. They are. They just exist without needing anything else outside of them. And so that's very important to know as well when your psychic abilities open, that you become aware of these frequencies as well, and that you don't have to be afraid of them, because that's the whole point. That's what they want. Then it can feed on you again. So yeah, that's a little side note on frequencies actually, but that's important to know with heightened abilities, that you will become aware of all frequencies, not just the good ones, not just the angelic realm or, you know, positive spirits. No, you will come in contact with negative aliens and positive aliens, like other star systems and galaxies that want to raise the frequency of life. They want to help the evolution of returning back to God. Well, there are galaxies and beings in other systems, star systems, that want to end life, that want life to stop. You become aware of all that, and then you can be as well a presence. You choose to be who you choose to be. What can I say? And then it's up to you. Who are you going to be? What presence are you going to be in this life, and what will you be a part of in this lifetime that you got, with the awareness that you got and the abilities that you got and abilities you can activate, because all of us can do this. And it's like I said, it depends on where you are in your journey like how willing you are to work through certain fears when you're choosing this path, because you will become aware of things that for most people are just a little bit too much and will probably cause them to freak out. So yeah, apparently my soul knew, and I've done this before in other lifetimes, but that I would be able to move through that fear and find ground and find peace and grounding. Again, return to love through those experiences. You know, these days I'm using my psychic abilities to share beautiful things with you guys, do card readings as well, my personal readings, I can see things that someone might be overlooking, and I can feel, I get visions, I can hear things. It's all there. So obviously I use my psychic abilities as well within one-on-one work that I do, as well within my creations and my videos. That, yeah, this is the idea that was already coming through years ago, but I knew that at that time it was not the time to talk about this. This was the time to talk about this, and this was the moment that I was meant to share and express this journey of mine. And it was just like the surface level, because there's so much more to this, and it has so much depth for me now. It's not like I just have some psychic abilities and I use them here and there. It's like, no, like I live like this is a way of living, this is a way of being now for me, and my connection to these psychic senses deepen and deepen and deepen more and more as I choose to do so. And that's why today I was like, let me talk about this, because for me it has become so normal, and it's not normal for everyone. And maybe you have one of these psychic abilities and you would love to talk to someone that can understand, that you can tell the story of, that you saw a freaking whatever entity in like a room and you don't know who to talk about, like you don't know who to talk to. Talk to me. I would love to have a conversation with you about this, or if you would love to receive guidance on your intuitive journey. I work obviously with psychics and intuitives, healers that use these powerful abilities and gifts they have, and to strengthen them, and to learn to trust them, because it's so important to learn to trust yourself so you can trust the things that you're receiving, so you can be a powerful presence and can be a part of these shifts on this planet that we're experiencing right now. So if that is something you're looking to experience, you can reach out to me on Instagram, or you can tap in with the links down below to book a session, to book a card reading, whatever you feel called for. Whatever you feel called for, you know how to find me. And thank you so much for listening to this message, this video today, the stories, everything I shared. I hope it gives you some insight, some inspiration as well, and to know that you're not alone, and that we're all experiencing very beautiful things on this planet. You know, maybe the storyline is a little different, but it comes down to the same thing, that, you know, we're learning to love ourselves and be there for ourselves in whatever experience we're going through, with whatever type of gifts we have and abilities we have as well. So if you want to like subscribe to the channel, that would be so amazing, and I wish you such a beautiful day today.